I'm here with Robert Milton, retired commander, London Metropolitan Police Service, New Scotland Yard. You have retired from that position a number of years ago. You're a managing director now of, and correct me if I get the pronunciation wrong, Milton Tezelin
That's right.
Limited, international anti-terror security training firm. We thank you for being with us, sir. In a very broad sense, we're talking about cyber security.
That's right.
And it means a lot of different things. I think we were talking before, I think a lot about cyber terrorism. You say there's a lot more to that. It's personal safety. It's predators and pedophiles and sexual deviants who may be online and looking to do harm to family members. There's a lot to think about.
Absolutely. And let's think about the cyberspace itself at the moment. Cyberspace is driving the economy, it's driving businesses. It's actually creating opportunities for individuals. You know, they're getting much better information so they can make better informed decisions. They can get education online they could never do. Can you think of a woman at home looking after her family is now able to get an education online, which she could never do. So cyberspace is a fantastic thing for us, and the internet is a great thing. The Arab Spring, you know, has been driven a lot by the fact that these people who have been for years and years and years depressed by a hostile regime can communicate beyond their borders, get international support, and that has driven the breaking down of a lot of boundaries, far more perhaps than ever happened during Eastern Europe and the Berlin Wall. So cyberspace is a great place. Sadly though, and somebody described it to me the other day, that it's a bad neighborhood as well. There are places you don't want to be going. And also criminals, terrorists, pedophiles, sexual predators, they see cyberspace as a happy hunting ground for them because they can carry out activities on an industrial scale that they could never do before.
I'd be remiss if we didn't mention you're in our area to be the keynoter at a cybersecurity summit that's at Bay Path College, also sponsored by the Economic Development Council. It's all in conjunction with Bay Path establishing a master's degree program in cybersecurity. How important, in your view, is it that schools offer and more people get this kind of cyber training today?
Well, Bay Path College and I have had a long, about 10-year or so relationship, and I have a tremendous respect for that college and for Dr. Leary and what she has done there. And when I was given the opportunity to take part in this cybersecurity seminar that's happening tomorrow morning, that is actually part of the longer cybersecurity management program, online management program for MSc, you know, I jumped at the chance because what we are recognizing now is that we cannot simply protect ourselves online by being clever, by science alone. Yeah, we do need clever scientists to make our systems harder to penetrate. But the real way we're going to protect ourselves is working with human beings. Because it's the human beings that actually are the most vulnerable. The security of the systems are most vulnerable through human beings, making mistakes, doing silly things, not understanding the risks. And that's what this is all about. It's about providing businesses, both private and public organizations, trained professionals able to come in and bridge the gap between the high-tech people, the ones that are working the IT systems, and the directors, the chief executives, the people that are actually trying to develop the strategy. Because if you get it wrong and you allow your systems to be penetrated, not only is it going to cost you money to try and put it right, you're going to lose the confidence of your staff, your customers, and you may lose your position in that particular industry if you're not careful. So that's how important it is now to get to grips with this and to have a broad strategy. Yes, it includes protection, clever protection devices, but is much wider and engages the whole of your customers, your staff, the public, in working together to protect your systems.
I think we often, many of us tend to view cybersecurity, and really when you and I talked for a minute or more before the taping, this is the way I was kind of leaning and thinking, we see it as a problem for national governments, the big corporations to worry about. But for just that reason, do you think that the cyber thieves, the bad guys of the web say, hey, that's the tough target. I'm going to go for the small business. I'm going to go for the small guy. There's plenty of money to be made there, and the opportunity is here with the web to get into millions of businesses, millions of homes.
Well, the situation is even more complicated than that because actually the chief executive that's at home on a Sunday morning working through his emails and the guy sitting outside who's logged onto his unprotected Wi-Fi, he's going to use the information he's getting there to go and attack his organization. So the problem there is that unless you have a comprehensive security package, you're going to find the weak links in the chain are going to get attacked all the time. And they may not be able to get in through the front door, but they'll get in through the back door by another system. Perhaps one of your customers, perhaps one of your suppliers. They will get in through that way, and once they're in and they bypassed your security systems and they're into your IT, then you have difficulty. So that's the problem. Yes, of course, targeting individuals, we see that on, as I say, on an industrial scale. They can press a button and they can send out thousands of emails. And if they get a 10% return on that, they're doing pretty well. But it's something that we've all got to be involved in. Everybody's got to be aware of cybersecurity, because one weak link and perhaps the whole deck of cards falls down.
Let me take it to the other side now. From where you sit, and I suspect you probably know a lot of things you couldn't share with us even if you wanted to, are the governments, are the big financial institutions, the other key industries, are they taking the threat seriously and doing the kind of things to really protect? Because if national networks go down and a state-sponsored terror, perhaps cyber terror, that's a serious, critical crisis.
There is no doubt that governments are taking this seriously, because cyberspace is driving economies. And they recognize that they've got to protect cyberspace in order for that economic growth to continue. Okay, so they're definitely taking it serious. The problem we have is that cyberspace is not a respecter of any borders. So if we're going to have a coherent response to this, we've got to do it on an international scale. Now, the UN perhaps are the people who should be leading on this, but all I see coming out of the UN are meetings. And I'm wondering, the time has come to move beyond that. The time has come to have some international agreements. And I'm going to compare that with what's happened over the international anti-money laundering regulations. The Terrorist Action Task Force that actually helps countries to work together to stop money laundering, to stop terrorist funding. Now that's been very successful because a lot of effort's been put onto it, a lot of money's been put into it. Perhaps the time is now to have a look at that and say, should we be doing something similar in relation to cybersecurity?
Very quickly, do you think this is a problem that is only going to multiply as the years go on and as internet grows and grows even more than it is?
I think it is. I think there's no danger, no chance of this suddenly ending. I think the opportunities to terrorists, to criminals, to other people who want to misuse the internet are always going to be there. But I want to finish on a positive note. I do believe that if we have this broad strategy, which involves for our clever scientists putting better and better security in place, preventing the hackers from getting in, preventing the viruses from getting in, provided we have that alongside a lot of other key strategies that involve training the workforce, changing the culture of the organization, public education. As long as all that happens at the same time, I think we can manage this threat. There'll always be an opportunity for the terrorist or the criminal to break down. We can't be 100%, okay? But we can be as good as we can be if we work together on that. And that means that we've got to work internationally, we've got to work nationally. We've got to make sure that the private security firms, the people like the big antivirus firms, virus software firms, work very closely together with government. That is a bit of a problem because they're running profit organizations. They may not want to share the intelligence, but we need to think about how we can overcome that. So I am quite positive that given the right level of commitment by everybody, that we can manage the problem.
Robert Milton, thank you very much for spending some time with us.
Pleasure.